we haven't always had the most stable of leadership in the city of Richmond, and I say that because not talking about anyone in particular, but I mean for the last 50 years that I've known, it's bounced up and down. But what it tells you is how resilient a city or a nation can be, whether you can have it continues to take care, and most of that is because of the people.
Thank you for listening to America's Healthiest City on Mike King Biz Radio Network. Welcome to America's Healthiest City. I'm your host, Will Melton. Today we have Sam Stone, president of Stone's Office Equipment. We're talking about water today and lots of other things Richmond related. But you are listening to America's Healthiest City on ESPN Richmond 106.1, part of the Mike King Biz Media Network. If you are new to the program, please check out americashealthiestcity.com to check out our ideas board, see who submitted ideas, what those ideas are. Leave your comments if you've got an idea that you can add to that. And if you represent a business, a nonprofit, a government agency, or an academic institution, and you're interested in joining this partnership to make Richmond the healthiest region in America by 2033, please check out what it takes to become an ambassador. It is free. We will help you tell your story, and you can contribute to this collective mission. And it's super important, so we need everybody involved. Without further ado, Sam, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to the day.
Yeah. Well, I start this program out with everybody on the same question. What brought you to Richmond?
Well, my mother, I was in the womb.
You're in the womb, and you came right out into Richmond.
Right into Richmond. So my father was in the Air Force, and he was stationed in Washington, D.C. So he met my mother, who was from Richmond, and they were married. And eventually, he got out of the military and started a typewriter company, and we ended up in Richmond, Virginia, actually Ashland, center of the universe. And from there, we have just planted our roots here. I've been here my entire life, and so that's kind of how it started. And I guess what else would you like to know about my background other than I was born and raised here?
Well, I mean that's an important one because there's a lot of folks that are new to Richmond, and not everybody has the perspective of somebody who was born and raised here. So I think knowing that, and I suspected that was true. I didn't look it up.
Right.
I didn't look at your birth certificate or anything like that before the show. But
I wrote a copy.
But yeah, I think. I'm new to Richmond. I came here in 2017. A lot of other folks, as we see the growing population, are new here and may not know some of the problems we've had in the past, may not know some of the really great solutions that have been introduced over the years. So, I'm curious, being from here, give me two answers. One, what did you love about Richmond growing up? And now the things have changed, because I imagine they've changed a little bit since you were young. What do you love about it now? And has that changed?
Well, I always say Richmond is a great city. It's a big little city, so we don't have the same issues that a Charlotte, North Carolina would have, or Baltimore. And I always thought growing up, one of the things I liked and about the city growing up was it was small enough that people, everybody knew somebody. So if I were, you were never far disconnected from someone. So if I were to say, "Oh, hey, do you know Will?" and they'd be like, "Well, I think so." And I said, "He's doing this," and they said, "Oh yeah, a friend of mine is, met him at an event." And so it was always like that. Then slowly it started to get more and more people were coming into the city who weren't from Richmond, and so we still have today. Even though we've been, my father started the business in late 1969, early 70. But so for 54 years, we'll have people today, I'll say, who I'm with, and they'll say, "Oh, I'm not familiar with you. I've never heard of that." And so a 54-year-old company, I feel like, I'm not bragging because I didn't start it. I've been the curator of it for the last, several years. But I just think, wow, 50 years, you think that would be one, there'd be a namesake. But we're also in a specialized market, but so there are more and more new people coming in, which is great because that's what's breathing the life in. We always had to say, there was a saying that went around for a long time to say, how many people does it change the light bulb in Richmond, right? It's 4. 1 to change it, and 3 to talk about how good the old one was. And so we loved holding on to everything and, talking about how great everything was. But more people are coming in now. They're seeing, they're bringing a different perspective in, and they're seeing it. And it's a very historic city too, which is really interesting because we have this whole dynamics of being, traced back to not far from Jamestown, all the way back up, and then going all the way through the Confederacy years, and all the way through segregation, all the way through. And if you keep following this all the way down, and you look at the progress the city has made and managed to survive itself, and survive history, it's amazing that the history continues to grow. And I think that means a lot. We haven't always had the most stable of leadership in the city of Richmond, and I say that because not talking about anyone in particular, but I mean for the last 50 years that I've known, it's bounced up and down. But what it tells you is how resilient a city or a nation can be, whether you can have it continues to take care, and most of that is because of the people.
Well, part of the reason why we have this show is to tune into what those opportunities are, and to make sure that we're pursuing them, make sure that we're encouraging other people to look around for those opportunities. As I've talked to people in the city, they've acknowledged that it's hard to fix things when things have been, broken or battered maybe for so long. And I can appreciate that. And I think that, we owe it to our citizens and our neighboring regions to look for those opportunities. So, I think that the perspective on progress is certainly one that I've been able to observe since I've been here for the last 6 years. And so for you to have that similar perspective and to, I think, celebrate it in a sense, anytime you acknowledge the folks that are trying to keep it the way it was, but we're still changing that light bulb. We need to change the light bulb. It's we can all live together on that, and we can all bring people forward.
Right. To clarify that a little bit too, you need those people that want to hold things down, and you need new people that want to reach further. That's the greatest part about America is we do know. I don't think we need to stay rooted in it, but we don't learn from our past if we don't have some. So I do think when you think about any organization, you always have this part of history that you want to. It's maybe your culture or whatever, but the way that the world is changing now, we don't want to stay stuck in second gear. We want to keep moving, and that's where I think technology, and you and I have talked about just the advances we're making, and how the world is changing. And in the years since you've been here since 2017, you've probably seen the city go through a little bit of a roller coaster ride. And I mean, at the end, what I love about it is we're listed just prior to the pandemic. I was doing something for retail merchants, and we were listed as one of the top 5 river cities in the nation. We had the top restaurants, and Richmond's just white hot, and it's just we were just couldn't do anything wrong. And then the pandemic comes along, and kind of like we set us back, but now we're steaming ahead again, and so it's a great city to do business in.
Well, I remind people all the time that we've got $8 billion in the development pipeline across the region, so things are certainly not going to slow down anytime soon. You are listening to America's Healthiest City on ESPN Richmond 106.1. Today we've got Sam Stone from Stone's Office Equipment in the studio. We're talking about Sam's background. He's been here for quite a while. And we're talking about America's Healthiest City and how we move the needle. So I want to talk to you today about water. You've been in the office equipment business for a long time, and that's everything from purchasing to leasing different things. I think a lot of folks know you for your copy machine service, and now you're in the water business. So I want to really I want to give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about Stone's Office Equipment and what you guys do, how you've been in this business for 54 years, and on the tail end of that, if you can talk a little bit about what tuned your mind to water and why that's something that's important to you.
Thank you. Yeah, the office equipment side, it's just something I've known my entire life. Like I said, my father, worked for a national company and with Royal Typewriter. And then when he got out of that, he was really faced with a dilemma of having to travel a lot more with two small children or kind of hang out his own shingle. So he said, I don't want to be gone Monday through Friday and just be around on Saturday and Sunday, so I'm going to just do my own thing. It was kind of unheard of at the time because, they were always the national companies, IBM, Royal, Underwood. They were the national guys, and then you had a few independents. So he did that. I just kind of picked up on that. He told me apparently I wasn't a very good service technician because he told me at the time, have you ever thought about sales? And I think I created probably more service calls than I did fixed. But we moved into that, and I love talking to people and meeting people. I love the events. We didn't have nearly the events that we have now, right? All the networking things I see you at, which you do a great job at, and Mike. But we didn't have it. But I look at that. We wanted to be the best at what we were doing. When we transitioned into copiers into the 90s, we went from typewriters that were falling off in sales because computers were taking over. Fax machines were coming out, then we had to make a decision. There are no more typewriters. Do we want to go toward computers or do we want to go toward copiers? We chose copiers because that seemed to be an item that needed a lot of service all the time, and we were a service-based company. So we really wanted to stick toward that, and it's done great. We've connected with great manufacturers. We have been ranked high up in the United States as far as sales and all these other promotional things, which is great, and recognition. But at the end of the day, what really drives us is we have great employees who take care of great clients, and we just want to be the best at what we could. We wanted to always be the best. So when somebody thought about it, which I'm always sad about, when they do the Times Best as their top one, the copiers service is not one of them. Dry cleaning, those guys always get theirs, but I was always thinking, I'd like to compete in that. But
I think the lawyers would want to see the rankings for that.
They always right. You're right. So we wanted to. That's what we strive for. The way the water came about is interesting, kind of going off of that, because we were approached by one of the manufacturers and asked if we wanted to pick up a line of equipment, which is Wellsys. And I never considered that before, ever. I didn't know anything about water other than we drank a lot of it. And we were buying bottles of water, the plastic bottles of water. We didn't ever have the giant water cooler, but we had that. And didn't know anything about it. Started to get educated on it. We picked up the line and started a separate company because we really didn't want to get it intermingled with it. So we have some investors come together on that, and we created Pure Water Virginia. And Pure Water Virginia, simply, our goal was to go out and to try to replace 5-gallon jugs and plastic bottles. That was the thing. We knew almost every office you went into, they had the big jugs or they were buying the plastic bottles. And one thing that resonated with me when I went to Wellsys and was talking to him is one of the gentlemen that says, the more population we have, the water's not going to ever be any cleaner. So we need to, this is a way that we can bring clean, healthy water to offices and workplaces for employers to give to their employees. And, it's never been true. The water is not any cleaner today than it was, 15 years ago. In fact, there's more out there now because we have forever chemicals out there. We have all this. So that's what we did. We put it together. It was just to see, we're already in the offices. We're already in offices with copiers and everything. We just said, hey, let's just go ahead and talk to our clients. And interesting enough, 50% of our sales have been from our existing customers, but the other 50% have been people that we don't have any relationship with at Stones at all. We found it, and then we found out about Richmond Water through one of the events we went to, and saw that and started to learn more about it on LinkedIn, and your attack was pretty much the same, different but the same as kill the plastic bottle.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know that everybody who listens to this program know my relationship to Richmond Water. It is a new product, and I'm not always out there pushing my stuff, but folks know who I am. I came to this because of plastic. We started thinking around, what are some creative ways that we can introduce a bottled water brand, and it was really kind of someplace we didn't want to go because of the plastic piece of it. And when we were turned on to Virginia Artesian Bottling in Hanover, and we saw that we could do it in aluminum, things started to kind of lock into place. And so when you and I met and we talked, and actually Mike King introduced us, I think, specifically over the water, we had bumped into each other a couple times before. It definitely became clear to me that there are other people out there that are paying attention to this problem. Now, you said something, we met last week, and you said something that was kind of interesting to me, something I had never thought about. I'm encouraging people to refill. We want people to refill the bottle that they buy from us, but they need a place to go get water. We know our water is super pure. We know that it's purified even more than that. And when you run out, you got to go find water that's similarly pure if you want to have that good, healthy, clean water. So tell me a little bit about the sanitation problem that you discovered when you started going down this road of office water.
Yeah, so we do a TDS count, which is the total dissolved solvents in the water, and we do a test around, and so we can go into any place and like we just experienced in the hallway while we were waiting. Right, a lot of the buildings you go to, you press the button on the water cooler or the water fountain, and it's turned off, or there's a big sign on it that says "Do not use." And so what we found out is so after COVID, we learned a lot of things about things that were actually good, like probably things we shouldn't have been doing ever. Bobbing for apples at birthday parties is probably a good thing, right? Not everybody's sticking their face in the water and sharing the tub. But water fountains, a lot of people didn't want to press that button and put their face directly down, over water. But then what we just started to discover is when you test the water, we have great water treatment plants in the city. All the surrounding counties get their water from the city of Richmond. So Henrico and Chesterfield get their water from the city of Richmond. And they have great pump stations and all their water treatment plants are great. However, the lines in the ground are 50 to 100 years old, and they still have to go through. So what we discovered is that while Flint, Michigan was catching a lot of grief over their water and everything, and even City of Petersburg was in the news a while back over theirs, that everyone was sharing the same problem, and that's aging pipes in the ground. So while there's air buyer for from Pure Water Virginia, the business when we go in and talk to them, it's kind of all over the place. It's not just, it's the plastic bottle. It's I don't want to pick up that 50 pound jug of water and turn it over into the water cooler. Or I'm not cleaning that water cooler on a regular basis. Or I'm tired of walking around my office and seeing half bottles of water, plastic bottles laying around, and then no one knows whose bottle it is. So they just throw it away and get another one. So there's a lot of waste. So it's not just water quality or anything, but what we really stress to them is that while we agree that there's 160 plus plastic bottles on average, per person, it's also 450 years for that bottle to decompose in a landfill. It's a long time. It beats the Twinkie out, which was 100 and some years. So this is bad. This is bad. But with all that being said, we're trying to do something better on your show here. We're trying to create things that are better. But if we're gonna try to do something to help save the earth, but not save ourselves, it's not going to be a reason for us to do one if we're not going to do the other. Being able to get this and refill it with something of better quality, I look at our devices, which are more geared toward, again, they're not residential, but they're more geared toward businesses, where it's plumbed into a water source and goes through 5 filtrations and makes it reverse osmosis, which is cleanest, some of the cleanest water you can have. It's a healthy alternative, and it also kills the plastic. And you can refill your bottle, or refill a Yeti, or whatever cup you decide to do, or your coffee mug, but stop buying that plastic, which no one is recycling anymore. I mean, it goes into a recycle bin, but it's so, the numbers are so small, and you know the numbers, but it's small. So how do we make it better?
Yeah. Well, I think it's 5% is how much plastic gets recycled. Could be less than that at this point, just because China stopped buying plastic a long time ago. But yeah, I think that you bring up an interesting point, and one that we share with Richmond Water is, you can buy water from anywhere off the shelf, but when you buy it off the shelf, where is it coming from? Is it coming from your county, your community, or is it coming from halfway around the world? And that's true of many brands of water. It's a selling point. We think it's some premium things. We're getting it from the tops of the mountains in some of the country, but really we're just burning CO2 to bring the water to America. So you're actually even we're 15 minutes up the road. You're right there at the source. You're right there in their office. The water it's already coming into the building. And so there's no more CO2 emissions for that water to go through your machine than there would be, if the machine didn't exist. So they're not having to go anywhere to get the water.
No delivery. So you're not driving a diesel truck around delivering no plastic bottles being made. So from the factory down, but it's like you already have the source in your building. So just tap into that and use that, and our device just makes it clean and pure. So that's where it is.
You're listening to America's Healthiest City on Mike King Biz Radio Network on ESPN Richmond 106.1 and Choice 105.3.
So this is America's Healthiest City. Please check out americashealthiestcity.com to see what our program is all about. We're working for 10 years to try to make the entire region of Richmond the healthiest in America. We can do it. We've got to do it together. Today we're talking to Sam Stone about water. And, Sam is bringing clean water to office places. This is a big culprit of plastic waste in our society. I think folks don't realize that, you might not necessarily be drinking from single-use plastic bottles of water, but as long as other people in your office are, your office is continuing to buy plastic bottled water. I think the other thing that people don't think about is if you buy it, they're going to make it. If you don't buy it, they're not going to make it. So we have to get to that place where we're, like you said, killing plastic. We've got to get it to just be gone. I want to talk about, just Richmond in general and the health of our community, because it takes all of us and doing small things, and it takes, some of us doing big things together to be able to move the needle. I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about some ideas that you might want to inject, or an idea that you might want to inject into our ideas board, so that other folks can think about ways that they can be contributors to this cause, either in a small way or, jumping on board something a little bit bigger.
Yeah, and when you brought that up, I was thinking, about some of the ideas we have, and sometimes they seem so far-fetched, right? That one thing we'll talk to clients about, we'll ask them a question like, hey, have you ever thought about this? The thing is, we don't even know what we don't know. So something may already exist, but we haven't experienced it. So one of the things that we have tried to think about on water, especially on the Pure Water Virginia side, is we tried to think about from an idea standpoint, is really sit down and take a look at, not just in your home, but like in your office, your everyday office use. What are you using that you can go without? Like what's out there all the time that you can go without? So when I say this, like what can't you get by with, and what can you get by with? We talk all the time about the plastic. So I encourage companies whether they use our product or any other product, is to always take a look at what they're doing, what can you do without in your business that will. Don't even look about the money savings part of it. Look at it from a standpoint of savings from the economy, the ecology, health environments, whatever you want to talk about. But we talk about plastics all the time. So I encourage people, if you want to put something on an idea board, is to actually start sitting down and just on a daily basis. You don't have to do it very long. You can do it for 2 days and you'll see it. Look at what you're using and look at what you think. It could be from a plastic fork. Not bringing your lunch in every day, but grabbing the plastic fork out of the office and use it and throwing it away instead of bringing a fork from home. It's these little things that we do, and when you start putting that out, we did it in our office, and I don't even know what the weight, the poundage of that would be, but I know that it was like we said, wow, we need to do better. So that was kind of an aha moment, maybe not an idea board, but an aha moment, because I do think it's something that would make us all healthy, because we can get away from so much. Quickly though, you and I talked about how do we, one of the things is the next generation is really pushing for corporations to be better. We also have to be better, because that's what drives it. The corporations have to answer to stockholders and all these and the boards and ultimately financial sheets. But the drive is when we make the difference, because when we start seeing that plastic start to dwindle, they'll start to see it go away.
Yeah. Well, the consumer demand is a big driver. They say vote with your feet, vote with your dollars. I think we could be more cognizant. I like the idea of pausing for a day or two and just write it down. I was at an event last night. I was at a great pop-up networking event, and I had the opportunity to sample some sweets, and there were 2 different things that I sampled, and I got 2 different plastic spoons. And it was one of those things that happened so quickly. I knew it when it was happening, but it was like, I would have been really rude to say, I don't want to sample your wares now. And so, but I think that having that conversation on a regular basis and bringing it up kind of tunes people into the thought process that, hey, we need to do something different. And that's certainly what we're trying to do with Richmond Water. I know for a fact that's what you're trying to do with Pure Water Virginia. And I think that we can all do more just to raise awareness. I think I was at an event not too long ago, and somebody's looking for a place to throw out a plastic bottle of water. He's looking for a recycling bin, but there wasn't one at this event. And I broke the news to him about how much plastic is actually getting recycled here, and he had just this look of disappointment on his face. But if we don't talk about it, we can't change things. So we've got about a minute left. I want to make sure that we cover a couple of bases. One, I want people to know where they can find you and your wonderful water filtration machines. But also, if you could share maybe the name of somebody who we would benefit from interviewing and sharing their story and sharing their ideas on this program with our guests. That would be another thing I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously on the web, stonesoffice.com, or on the phone, 804-288-9000. And for Pure Water Virginia, it's purewaterva.com. And a gentleman that I think is a shaker and a mover in the Richmond region is Mark Smith with Midas. I think he's done incredible things and is helping their community, and ultimately not just helping to be healthier, but helping them to be a better place. And I've had many conversations with him, and I think he'd be a great asset if you haven't spoken to him on the show to get him on.
Well, I appreciate that. I have not spoken to him. I've not interviewed him. I have attended a corporate social responsibility panel discussion that he was on and learned great things from him there. Just talking about the partnerships between nonprofits and his business and what other companies can do to advance that needle. So, Sam, I thank you for coming on today. This is an important topic, and we're going to keep talking about it. We all have to get our water from somewhere, and we want it to be pure and clean.
Right.
And we want it to be ecologically sound. So,
that's right.
We
stay healthy is what we say.
Yeah.
Drink more water.
Drink more water. Stay hydrated.
That's right. Stay hydrated.
This was America's Healthiest City on ESPN Richmond 106.1. Thanks for joining us. Please tune in next week at 6 a.m. on Thursday for more of the show. Visit americashealthiestcity.com to learn more.